All right, hope you guys enjoyed. Good morning and welcome to day 2 of the West Africa trade, learning how to trade and learning how to do business in West Africa. And I hope I don't offend anybody, but West Africa is my favorite. I have my heart lies in West Africa, especially in the Ghana region, Ghana, Senegal, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, all of it. I love it. It's great opportunities. There's tons of opportunities. There's tons of great people. There's tons of great food. We'll have that debate a little later because I know if I get that one started, we'll never get into the presentation of exactly what we're here for. And that's learning how to trade and learning how to do business in these regions. These regions are booming. The economies are doing well. They're very strong. Products are in high demand. Services are in high demand. These guys are on the forefront of moving forward. That's why we here at the Chicago MBDA Export Center have partnered with organizations all around the world, as well as Dr. Wilmot and these guys over at VentureLift. These guys are helping us to penetrate even more markets. So they're helping bring you training on exactly how to do business, because of course we all can just, pack up a container, get it over to a foreign land and just say, hey, we're here to do business. But there's a right way to do it that's going to make sense, is going to help your bottom line. So without further ado, I'd like to bring to you guys Dr. Wilmot of VentureLift so that he can begin the training for today. Thank you. Dr. Allen.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Terry. I was talking to myself, I guess. I said, now I understand why you were a little bit more quiet last week and are energized this week. West Africa's in the house. I get it. I get it. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much to the MBDA Export Center, MBDA Business Center, and to the Morrison Group. We really do appreciate this opportunity to come before you again. Day 2 to discuss deal making in Africa, with the focus on West Africa and South Africa. Not all of the Southern Africa region will be covered, but we will focus on South Africa in that region. I just want to recap a couple of things. We had a good session yesterday, and our last session will be tomorrow. We started out talking about macroeconomic trends to give you a good understanding of the context, economic and political even context in which deals are made in these countries. And then we gave you some specific ideas and highlights of countries and policy initiatives that can support business, particularly in the US-Africa economic dynamic. And so we're really happy to have had with us the West Africa Trade Investment Hub and their presentation. And today we have other guest speakers, and we'll get to that shortly. We do want you to be advised that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available, as well as the presentations will be made available to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I mentioned some of our guests. We are delighted to have NIPC. We're delighted to have Kamati and Partners, Sunstone Advisors, and our logistics expert, Ms. Nisha Jones. They will be presenting shortly after me, so you don't want to miss it. Terry has said great things about Ghana and jollof rice. I'm going to say great things about Nigeria because it was the second place, but really the place where I got to know the business the business landscape and private sector in Africa, having lived in Lagos and Abuja a long time ago. But I still have friendships and business partners from 15 years ago, having worked there at that time. So we're excited about Nigeria. We're excited about the perspective we'll get also on Senegal and South Africa as well. So you can see as an agenda, let me just move my screen down. Let me just review the agenda really quickly. Current and projected economic outlook of the region was presented yesterday, the factors to consider for trade in West Africa and South Africa with case studies today and tomorrow. We will focus on investment in West Africa and South Africa, and we have angel investors and some other case studies to share with you that I hope will be valuable information. Again, understanding how money is coming into a country, what sectors, who are the partners, how business is done with the government as well as the private sector. These are things we really want to make sure you take from these sessions. Each session will last about 2 hours, and there will be question and answer. We want this to be interactive. So after my introduction and the first part of what we'll say, before we transition to the other speakers, we'll take questions at that time. But please do not wait. Please go ahead and fill in the Q&A chat box with your questions. And we will take every question and try to answer it to the best that we can. If we don't have the answer today, know that we'll come back to you after today by email if you share your contact information with us to give you the answers. So let's proceed. I do want to just acknowledge yesterday, we did not get through all of the program. At the end, we had, I think, a great conversation from the West Africa Trade Investment Hub about partnerships, about exporting even from Africa to the US, but also as it relates to the interests of this group and the mission of the Export Center, bringing products and services from the US to the African continent. I wanted to highlight one thing that I think is really, really important as we talk about diaspora engagement, and that is the work of Ghana. I'm going to increase the size of my screen as we move into the presentation. Give me 1 second. I introduced myself yesterday, so I'm hopeful that you all joined us. But let me just say a few words before we transition to Ghana. I'm based in Nairobi, where I've lived and worked for the last 5 years. I've been on the continent for over 20 now, off and on. Originally from Ohio, American citizen, work here in private equity and also transaction advisory. And really excited about the partnership we have with the Export MBDA Center of Chicago. Previously, I was an investor with the IFC, International Finance Corporation, in Washington, D.C., in the private equity group, infrastructure and financial institutions, and spent some time before that in investment banking and venture capital. One of the things I think is helpful to know about my experience, I had the privilege to operate as the transaction lead for the East Africa Trade Investment Hub, which is a sister organization to the initiative that we heard about yesterday, the West Africa Trade and Investment Hub. Really briefly, I will come back to this, but our businesses, in terms of the marketplace aspect of what we do, over and above the advisory work, is to connect different partners to businesses and to each other, whether that's trade, supply chain, financial capital providers, tech transfer, management talent, and professional services. So we'd love to help you, and we're excited again to be able to help you with our partners, the MBDA Export Center. I mentioned Ghana. That's where we want to start. And I want to lift this up because I think that it's important to give credit to President Nana and the country for the karibu, as we would say in Swahili, the welcome that the country has given to people in the diaspora, in this case, a big outreach to African Americans. And we want to just highlight a couple of things about that. You will learn more about this. President Nana will be joining us as a speaker, keynote speaker, at the Diaspora Investment and Trade Deal event the week of September 21st, brought to you by the MBDA Export Center, the MBDA Business Center, VentureLift, and other partners. I just want to show, just really briefly, the impact of this diaspora engagement that it can have for the benefit of both the country and for the partners, in this case, diaspora, that are coming into the country to do business. I think it's well publicized now that the country has moved from the year of return, which was in 2019, to beyond the return, which is a 10-year initiative to build upon what happened last year and to now do the real work of trade and investment deals with the diaspora and other partners. Over $1 billion in economic value have been generated. So just indulge me for 1 minute. I do want to play this video. I'm going to tee that up very, very quickly, I believe. Actually, let me just. Jerry, this might be a good time to play some music while I'm scrambling here. Let me just get myself organized.
No problem, but I will go over a couple more housekeeping tips. Definitely for everyone, and even speakers and moderators as well. If we can all be on mute, as well as to have your video, you know, actually off while speakers are speaking, you know, just so the speaker can have the utmost attention of the audience. And then, you know, that way, you know, he can have everything, you know, that he needs while he's preparing the video.
Thank you.
Yes, and you guys, your return was amazing. You know, that Wilmot is talking about while he's queuing up the video. There's a lot of big things going on. Like I said, I've been going to the continent since 2000, and there's some amazing things. And I do love Ghana. Oh man, I mean, going all the way from Labadi Beach, Cape Coast. I mean, it's just endless. You know, White Beach. I mean, there's just so many things that you can actually do, and places that you can go that you'll enjoy. And then everybody's so warm and welcoming. I mean, they definitely make you feel like you're home, especially members of the diaspora. I mean, they welcome us with open arms. Any resource that's available, they make sure that you have or that you can get. Everything is accessible. You know, Western Africa, again, has really embraced the brothers and sisters, you know, that were, you know, taken away. But now, again, we're coming back. But I see Wilmot's ready, so I'll turn it back over to Dr. Allen.
Thank you so much. Okay, sorry about that brief interruption. Let me know if you cannot. I think we should be good with both the visual and audio. This is just 3 minutes.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created.
Sorry.
We will work together to make sure that never again will we allow a handful of people with superior technology to walk into Africa, seize our peoples, and sell them into slavery.
Take the shackles off my feet. Make a go, make a go. It's a battle with the beast. New Africa makeover. Let's bow our heads and pray, your Lord. Our Father, help us fight the war.
Program, the year of return has been successful by every measure, in respect of the numbers that we have attracted, in respect of the issues that have been dealt with.
Every month of the year, there is something meaningful for people to attend. The Steering Committee has also tried to bring together stakeholders who will assist in ensuring that the travel and stay of people coming for the year of return is easy as possible.
The year of return and this initiative that has been launched by the President of the Republic of Ghana and Ghana itself has touched the hearts and souls of Africans all over the world. And as we are in this final month of December, it's not a final month, but it's climaxing this year. But what this year has done more than anything else has provided a platform for us to go forward for the next decade and beyond, with a renewed spirit of Mother Africa, a renewed spirit for the African people to believe in ourselves, and that has been part of the spiritual meaning of the year of return.
If it's one thing that I can say about the year of return, is that all of our ancestors are very proud.
They're very, very excited. I think that the board, the GTA board, the steering committee, and the secretariat have worked really hard to make sure that this year of return was a success.
The year of return was a seed that we sowed in 2019. Throughout the year, we watered it, and now it has grown into a big tree with huge branches. Beyond the return, these branches are going to bear fruit. The fruit of investments, of citizenship, real estate, birthright journeys, heritage infrastructure, marketing, and the ease of visa coming into Ghana. We can't wait. We look forward to 2020 and beyond the return.
In view of the response that the year of return has received from the Africans of the diaspora, we are going to build on this year of return in the ensuing years. In the year 2020, we are going to declare Beyond the Return, which is going to be a 10-year project to facilitate a greater collaboration between our brothers and sisters of the diaspora and Ghana, to ensure that they see Ghana and Africa as their home,
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to get back into the presentation now. Let me blow this up. Okay, great. We are ready to go. So the year of return was successful in facilitating in terms of economic value, primarily through tourism proceeds, over $1 billion. You can see under this caption, under the YouTube sort of caption there, that there has been a partnership, I think one of probably several, but between diaspora firms and a Ghanaian partner on a real estate project. $30 million luxury estate. We're in touch with this gentleman now just to find out more about what he has done and what his plans are. So this is real economic partnership that is very tangible, is very doable. And we want to, through this call, excite, motivate, catalyze this type of economic activity throughout the continent. We think that we are at a stage now where it makes sense not only from the business sense, but also from the aspect of going full circle in the partnership in terms of, diaspora returning back to the continent. While that is a large transaction, I do want to emphasize in the coming hours, today and tomorrow, you are going to hear about different size deals. I want to revisit something from last time that we talked, and that
Excuse me, Dr. Allen. I'm sorry. This is Thomas. How you doing? The screen is blank. Is it?
Okay. How about now?
Well, the video that you just played, that's what we see now.
Okay. Here we go. Let me just stop it and then we'll come back in.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, how about now? Are we good, Thomas?
Now you just need to make it full screen.
Okay, great.
All right, now we. Oh.
Thank you. So I was saying that it's important to understand that there are all different types of ways to engage in terms of trade and investment. We are going to present some of those today. But one of the things to keep in mind is that you don't need to be a large institution pushing, over $100 million deals, over $50 million deals. Last week, we did present a deal that I think needs to be highlighted again, that is, I think, symbolic and indicative of the fact that if you have an interest, if you have, capital, if you are able to identify partners, if you're able to find the right sort of product market fit for a product or the right asset for your capital, there are various levels in which you can come and enter into economic partnership with Africa. And I just want to lift this up, that this was a deal by our partner, Kevin Morrison. Kevin's with us today on the call. It just involved simply brokering between a restaurant and a dry spice and barbecue sauce provider in the US. So start out as less than $100,000, working to build upon that with other products and services, with other products, coffee, tea, etc. So this is eminently doable with just the smaller size transaction with the right partners on the ground, and more importantly, with the right product for the market. So we do want to emphasize that now as we begin to talk about larger size transactions. I do want to just emphasize a couple of things in terms of trade before getting to our speakers, that there has been an important shift that you should be aware of in Africa's trading partners. What this means essentially is that there's been an adaptation from the West to Asia. So the dark blue, like the Navy, you can see where the trade partners, the increase in trade partnerships has taken place. And so what's important about this call is to now refocus some of that opportunity match to interest between the US and Africa. Interregionally, this gives you a sense as to how interregional trade is faring and how it compares to the rest of Africa, the rest of the world. And within the different regions, this one focuses really on ECOWAS. You can see 15 there. You can see that it is interregionally favorably disposed in terms of the share. And then with the rest of Africa, it is not as high. And so one of the things that we talked about yesterday was what's coming is Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. We'll hear about that more today from NIPC and others, which is a really, really big policy initiative that's going to promote intra-Africa trade. But there is an opportunity to bring products into the market to facilitate that and work with local partners. These are some of the export categories that we alluded to yesterday: food and agriculture, natural resources and manufacturing, how they stack up. Obviously, natural resources in West Africa will rate very, very highly, and still does because of the structure of the economies in West Africa are, compared to East Africa for sure, are more natural resource based and have, particularly around oil and gas. So that's really important to note. We presented this the last time. This is a very, very high level due diligence checklist that you should keep in mind as you think about trade with Africa, as you think about investing. Many of them are intuitive, so we won't go into depth, but we wanted to, for those especially that are new to thinking about engaging and want to take that first step, we wanted to lift up this checklist to you, beginning with a strong product, technology, or service that actually is aligned with the consumer need. And so that means that it's going to be important to work with partners. It's going to be important to have research, access to current research. And a lot of those resources are available for free through the MBDA Export Center and its partners. And we certainly can assist with that and have partners on the ground here as well. The business model and strategic plan is adequately aligned to the local and regional ecosystem. So beyond just the product market fit, the overall business, that means the marketing, that means the partnerships that you will need, the distribution, that is aligned with the realities and opportunities on the ground. There's a large local and regional market consideration here that will be supported with ongoing demand throughout the continent. We understand that one of the beneficial factors with doing business in Africa is the demographic dividend. That is a young population, median age of about 20, that's growing. 800 million now, will grow soon to over a billion in sub-Saharan Africa. And so that's a large population of potential customers. On top of that, many of the countries now are aspiring to, and some are reaching middle income status, like Kenya and others. And so that makes for an attractive consumer market. Although there are challenges, as always, we are very upfront and transparent about that, and you'll hear about those, and just very shortly how those are being mitigated. Particularly, we'll start with Nigeria, and you'll hear directly about those things. Adequate regulatory, legal, and IP support. We're grateful for Kamathi and partners who will give us some considerations from a legal perspective that are important to keep note of and to address. Strong financial performance and cash management on the firm level is going to be really, really important. Obviously, you want to have a great international accountant or a local accountant who understands the market, where you're doing business, and good cash controls and governance structures in place, particularly as you're transitioning as an export-import to do business here on the continent. This is one that's oftentimes overlooked, but to be able to, this is two ways to an effective and coachable management team with track record of success. So what do we mean by that? Meaning you're going to have to come in and find a partner here on the continent. It's important for both sides of the business partnership to really be teachable, to really be coachable, and to be in a place of wanting to learn, because not only are there cultural barriers and sometimes language barriers, but those factors relate to how people do business as well. On top of understanding the traditional sort of business dynamics within that country. So being able to find the right partnerships where the teams are aligned and work together in a harmonious way is really, really important. We have seen as an investor and now transaction advisor and investor, I've seen a lot of projects, deals, trade partnerships blow up because of that. If there wasn't proper attention given to that at the front end of the deal, but rather emphasis on the opportunity to make money, the opportunity to bring a new product or service into the market. And then also take a look at the competition. The competitive landscape analysis is really, really important, where it's going to be important to get into the local market and understand who's there and what the dynamics of competition is, what's driving it, the factors that drive it, how price relates to that, and other factors like technology. Again, we're going to go through these factors just really, really quickly. And then lastly, for investments, you have to understand how not only you get money into countries, but out. And that's why we've been sharing with you some of the stats from venture capital and private equity investors in terms of their exits and even the returns that they have realized in certain country markets. Let me go to the next slide. We'll come back to this, but we do want to just point out here that partnerships are really, really important. We've listed some private equity and venture capital firms to note as financiers, bank and loan guarantors, development finance institutions, trade finance institutions. Deal sourcing, transaction advisors are very important. We've heard from the West Africa Trade Investment Hub, investment institutions, chambers, and then the government incentives to really look for and to assess, such as how are special economic zones being treated in terms of incentives provided, tax-free loans, custom duty exemptions, and more. And key steps for executing imports, exports, and equity investments, knowledge of the laws, the trade incentives, export and import laws, understand effective logistics and distribution, and strong understanding how capital controls in terms of how getting your money in and out of the country through foreign exchange is really regulated. These things are all important. And I'm moving through this quickly because you'll hear a lot more in detail on a country level from our speakers. Speaking of which, we want to now take questions and then quickly transition to the Nigeria Investment and Promotion Commission, Mr. Abayomi Salami. But before we do so, I want to go to Thomas and ask if there are questions.
No, not yet.
Okay, great. So without further ado, I want to present to you Mr. Abayomi Salami, who's going to speak to us about business and the investment environment in Nigeria. As you know, Nigeria is the largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, and so it's really, really important to understand how to do business there, the partnerships, and how you can work with organizations like NIPC. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Salami. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but everyone's on mute, so they may not be able to respond. Let me just stop my share and turn it over to you. Yes, I hear you loudly and clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
And I hope I'm visible enough. Hello?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We're ready for your presentation.
Okay, so you'll be the one to project my presentation, or I should be the one?
If you could kindly do it, that's fine.
Okay. Let me see if I can share it.
Yes, if not, I'm happy to do it. Yeah. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, well,
so, Mr. Salami, if it's easier for me to call it up, I'm happy to do so. If that's
I think you can do that. It's
okay,
better for you to do it.
Yes. Great. Can you stop screen share and then I'll just take over? Thank you.
Yeah. So, like I said, my name is Abayomi Salami. I'm from Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. I'm here to make a presentation on the I'm here to make a presentation on the business climate in Nigeria. So as you can see, the first slide is about the next slide is about the investment environment in Nigeria. And I'm going to start by talking about what the investors, our experience with the investors. So we are not shying away from the fact that there are a lot of negative reports from investors in terms of the fact that the corruptions, government are having anti-business policies, and agencies are harassing investors all over. And the difficulty in getting the visa, which has been resolved in recent time with the visa on arrival policy. Access to long-term capital is challenging, and high cost of doing business in Nigeria. But notwithstanding that, as a result of which, Nigerian government decided to dive into a lot of things. For instance, we appreciate that economic prosperity is corresponded with the ease of doing business, because the more we ease the doing business in Nigeria, the more there will be prosperity in the economy of the country. So government has taken it upon itself to enhance the business climate, as a result of which government is doing a lot to enhance the business climate. The next slide I'm talking about. And if you can see, a lot of reforms have been carried on. Please go to page 3. A lot of reform are being carried on, because we realize that there is need to reform the Nigerian economy in order to remain competitive and improve the economic prosperity of the country. And the target of the government of Nigeria is to achieve to be among the top 100 in the year 2020, which we have, even though we've been able to achieve in the next slide. If you go to the next slide, if we're able to achieve on the doing business ranking, Nigeria is now 131 among the 190 countries. So a lot of things have been put in place. If you look at the parameters, the parameters of doing business in Nigeria, you look at the starting a business, dealing with construction permit, getting electricity, registering property, and getting credit. Nigeria has been able to focus on how to improve on these parameters, and so as to enhance the ease of doing business in Nigeria. And we've been able to, even though in terms of number, we were able to improve a little, but we've been able to improve in terms of value that has been added to the differences. So the federal government of Nigeria also realized that with the coming of the AFCFTA, which is one of the things that is making the Africa to be the single largest regional economy in the world. Nigeria, being the most populous country, is also realizing that we need to take advantage of this. If you look at Nigeria, is like is situated in a strategic place of Africa, like the cock of the gun. If you look at in terms of the distance to all the corners, the extreme corners of Africa, is under 5 hours travel by air, to Dakar, to Tunis, to Cairo, to Addis, and to Joburg. So Nigeria is more ready than most African economies in terms of the fact that it's naturally blessed with the large domestic market and a big gateway of the economy, and it is doing a lot in terms of improving the manufacturing base, so as to continue to claim its rightful place among the top 20 economies in Africa. And many Nigerian companies too have developed their capacity to service the rest of Africa in terms of the IT breakthrough. You can see we as a country, we have we are strategically located in terms of having 4 major international airports and about 3,000 plus kilometers of railway tracks, and bordered with Benin, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger as a natural hub for the continent. So with the COVID-19, we have been able to realize that there are some potential winners and opportunities that has occurred naturally. A lot of negative impact on the oil and gas, transportation, construction, education, real estate, trade and international tourism. But when you look at the manufacture and as well as manufacturing, but banking is doing a lot. Banking is doing well. Hope you are hearing me. Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. So when you look at the ICT has gained a lot, chemicals and pharmaceutical, human net and social services, and agriculture and food and beverages. So which are the areas that have gained a lot with the COVID-19 in place? So Nigeria as a country, we are already developing a strategy to take advantage of this opportunity. So I need to let the investors that are interested in investing in Nigeria to appreciate that we are already taking a lot of effort to retain investors, investment, as well as strategically position Nigeria to take advantage of the opportunities that are found. So NIPC as an organization has put up a iGuide Nigeria, which is an online, easy to guide on how to access and invest in Nigeria, providing relevant information on investment. That's slide 7. The next slide is the further. We have compendium of investment incentives, that is various incentives that are available in various sectors of the economy that is now in one document and easy to find. In fact, the soft copy is in the NIPC website. The next is the selection of investment incentives that can be found in Nigeria, and in terms of pioneer status incentives, as well as projected deduction for research and development, rural investment allowances, investment relief, export expansion grant, and export processing zone incentives. Because of time, I won't be able to dwell much in that. So as a country, hello. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, we hear you.
We're with you.
Okay, so the next slide is on the slide 10, and you can see Nigeria is promoting responsible, inclusive, and balanced and sustainable investment in aligning with the United Nations Agenda 2030. So, and you can see the details there because of the time. And we came up with a strategy in which we decided to focus target investment specifically in some countries that we know that are strategically important to Nigeria. And we've been able to identify 20 countries. And the approach was to look at the investment sources, criteria used, and the countries that have been having trade relationship with Nigeria and countries that has capacity to support Nigeria with world-class investment. And countries that Nigeria have a strategic relationship with. And you notice that United States of America happens to be one of the countries that are important. So that's why US is a strategic important country to Nigeria. And it may amaze you that I'm even the US desk officer. I'm the US desk officer in Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. So the next one is an OC Lab, what we call OC Lab. We have a one-stop investment center that is situated in the NIPC headquarters, and where we have various desk officers from relevant MDAs that attend to investors, from the registration of companies to inquiries with the immigrations, customs on duties, the relevant agencies that deal with the pharmaceuticals and all export promotion and all manner that you can think of, even the solid minerals or mining. So again, we went ahead to NIPC in order to facilitate further investment. We went ahead to set up what is called OC Lab, where you have to resolve investors' problem, and it's very transparent. We always make sure that we have investors sitting with the relevant agencies that are having maybe one issue or the other with, to resolve it in a seamless manner without having to compromise the law of the relevant regulatory policies and law of the country, as well as ensuring that we protect the investors' interest. And NIPC assists investors to navigate challenges in investing in Nigeria. We connect prospective investors to domestic partners and facilitate discussion with relevant agencies and policies. We also facilitate investors' input into policy-making process. And I've already talked about the OSIC lab. And we work behind the scene to ease policies and regulations and persuade the relevant government agencies privately, not in a confrontational manner, just to ensure that we retain and sustain and continue to attract additional investment into Nigeria. The slide 14 talked about it. Despite the challenges that Nigeria has been facing, in the slide 2, where I talk about the challenges of investors, what the investors used to face, Nigeria is still a large growing population. We have a sophisticated financial market. I think we are really improving the business climate, and it's strategically located in Africa. And we have a generous investor protection law in place, with abundant resources and all manner of things that you can think of. And it's the third most populous country. It's going to be third most populous country by year 2050. In fact, with that alone, you are sure of having enough market to absorb your product. And by that 2020, it has been projected that Nigeria is going to be the 14th largest economy by 2050. So these are many other things. And again, it's been having a stable political system since 1999. When you look at the Nigeria, when you look at Nigeria trade relations with US, you see that in terms of export, Nigeria's top export partner is US happens to be number 6, and when it comes to import partner, US happens to be number 5. So making US to be very, very important to Nigeria strategically. And you can see the kind of things that we trade together and the kind of what US exports to Nigeria and what Nigeria exports to US, as shown on the chart. The next one is when it comes to investment, US happens to have invested. The investment destination in US are shown in terms of the states. Nigeria, as you may know, is a federal state, is a federation comprising of 36 states as well as a federal capital. So you can see in terms of where the most American investors invest, and these are the top 10 US investors in Nigeria, as shown above, and the kind of sectors that most US investors are investing in. This was gotten from the FDI market, and one of the major reasons why we are particular about US, we have, because based on the IP strategy I talked about earlier, we've been able to get information that US is the #1 global investor and is the #1 investor in services, as well as #3 investor in solid minerals, and #3 investor in oil refinery, #7 investor in real estate, and #4 investor in Africa, and #2 investor in Nigeria, as well as Nigeria's 5th import partner and Nigeria's 6th export partner, as at 2018, based on the information that we gathered from FDI market, as well as World Bank, as well as our own Bureau of Statistics, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. So we've been able to gather this information between year 2015 to 2018. So this is one of the reasons why US is strategically important to Nigeria. So coming to NIPC, these are the principal functions of NIPC. We engage in proactive, attractive investment image. We promote Nigeria as an investment destination and provide relevant information for investors on the kind of investment opportunities and capital sources. And we as well engage in investment promotion by providing relevant investment information and coordinate all investment promotion activities in Nigeria. We engage in investment facilitation and by supporting the existing investors and registered enterprises in Nigeria, as well as matchmake investors with specific project and advice on partner on joint venture basis. We are into policy advocacy too, because we initiate and support measures that enhance investment climate and evaluate the impact of investment and incentives in Nigeria and make appropriate recommendations. And we advise government on policy matter to promote Nigeria's economy. We are not a policy owner, but we make all efforts to ensure that we support and we support the federal government of Nigeria to make responsible policy, investment policies, and other relevant policies that are capable of enhancing the investment climate in Nigeria, and that makes it one of our primary motives, because ours is to ensure that we transform the Nigerian economy and make it an investment destination in Africa. As we are even, as the AFCFT is about to even begin to become a reality this year. Anyway, subject to the impact of COVID-19. The next slide is the obligation of investors' obligation and protection in NIPC, because you need to appreciate that NIPC also realize that there is need to make sure that we protect the interests of investors by making sure that one of the first things that happen is that before any enterprise or any investor can operate legally in Nigeria, you need to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and as well as register with NIPC. And ownership, there is opportunity for 100% ownership. The Nigeria Investment Promotion Act did provide for that and protect the investment of every investor. But we advise foreign investors to get local partners to be able to navigate the environment as well as support in every area. Then the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act guarantees the investment of the investors, because based on the relevant investment laws, in addition to NIPC Act, government will not nationalize or expropriate any enterprises, and there is a right to cut and fair and adequate compensation if acquisition is done in national interest or for public purpose, and no restriction on repatriation of profit made. When it comes to dispute resolution, amicable dispute resolution has been put in place and is always done with fair hearing and without any trampling on the investor's right and obligation. And we have robust bilateral treaty that have been improved. And in fact, in 2016, a new model was put in place of bilateral investment treaty, which has been acknowledged and applauded by by UNCTAD. And there is a right to recourse to exceed rules in case of any infringement on the investment investors' interest. Nigerian BIT is a balanced BIT that protect both the government's interest as well as investors' interest. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Salami. You can see the contact information. Mr. Salami is the Deputy Director in the Department of Policy Advocacy. So, Mr. Salami, we want to turn to a few questions now. And then there's a general statement I'll make after we go through these questions that are specific to your presentation. So first of all, the first question is about Africa, the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement. What was the hesitancy that Nigeria had? Why was Nigeria hesitant to sign, or not one of the first signatories to that act, or to that agreement rather. I think the only outstanding country now is maybe Eritrea. But can you comment on that?
You mean why Nigeria have not been able to sign?
Yes. But it was my understanding. I'm sorry, go on.
Nigeria has been able, has already signed the AFCFTA.
Right. But I'm sorry, my question is, what was the hesitancy? The stated question was, why hasn't it signed? And I tried to correct that and say that it has signed. Now it's only Eritrea that's outstanding. But so I guess the real question is, sir, what took it so long? What was the hesitancy?
Okay. What took it so long was because of the fact, you know, we operate in a democracy, and there is need to carry everyone along. Initially, when, if you recall, our president was to even attend the meeting in Kigali, where the signing was to take place, but at the last minute, he just have to stay back. Why? Because the private sector were complaining that, Nigeria may eventually become a dumping ground. It may never negatively affect the manufacturing sector of the economy, all manner. So government need to listen to them. And a national committee was put in place to hear the side of the private sector. And after by the time the consultation was made, and at the end of it, it was realized that it is better for Nigeria to join and sign the AFCFTA, even though the largest market, but it's going to even be to the advantage of Nigeria, because we cannot be working alone. The only thing, as I think one of us here said, is that Nigeria is yet to ratify the AFCFTA, which is true. And the process of ratification is on. I can assure you that the process of ratification is on and is ongoing. And for you to know, we even have the National Office for Trade Negotiation in Nigeria. So for you to know that Nigeria is taking the trade is obligation, multilateral obligation, regional obligation, as well as bilateral obligation, very serious. But government does not want to be seen to be doing things without adequate consultation. The process of ratification is an ongoing thing, and it will be done as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. Let me follow that up with a question about engagement on the part of the NIPC. Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. The second question is this one. In terms of the NIPC, are there pathways for engagement with early stage investors and SMEs, meaning the smaller companies and investors? How would they engage with you? Do you have a transaction minimum for that, or is there a size of the company by revenue in terms of an SME that wants to engage with the NIPC? Hi, Mr. Salami?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Should I repeat the question?
Hello?
Let me turn up my volume.
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir? Yes. Okay, so let's do this. Let's switch up. Since you're having some problems hearing me, maybe you can go into the chat, because there are specific questions related to NIPC there, and that might be easier. Are you able to access the chat, the Q&A chat? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
It sounds like he has a bad connection, Dr. Allen.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hello?
Yeah, so I took the screen down.
Hello, I can hear you.
Great, so let's get through the last two questions. One is for early stage, for smaller part. Yes, it looks like maybe, can anyone else hear me? He's not hearing me. Am I able to be heard by anyone else?
No, we can hear you. I think it's his.
Hello?
Fine. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's
okay, great.
connection.
Okay, so Mr. Salami, we may have a bad connection. But let me try to address while you're sorting your audio, and maybe we lost them. Let me try to see if I can sort those questions. So based upon what I know of the NIPC, I think if they're not able to help you in terms of smaller transactions, they certainly can guide you to the right person, to the right partners, to the right enterprise in Nigeria. Let me move on to another question that was about just the orientation of this presentation. We got a question about, based upon the statement that I made about smaller size deals, that you shouldn't be constrained or thinking that there may not be an opportunity for you to engage with Africa. So let me just say where that's coming from. So last week the feedback was we talked a lot about the same deal which I presented, but also about larger private equity deals and larger transactions in general, 100 million, 500 million, because we had that conversation around trade and logistics and moving large product, large transactions. So please rest assured that what we're trying to do in these sessions is give you a broad range of options and understanding that there are numerous opportunities in terms of partnership through trade and investment and deal sizes that one can engage in doing business with Africa. So we're by no way saying we're only encouraging you to think about small transactions or larger ones. We're saying both. And so I do want to address that. And I know people come on and off the call at different times, but that is our base point, that we want you to feel encouraged that wherever you are in that spectrum, whether it is a $3 million deal or less, or $1 billion transaction, there's an opportunity. I'm currently engaged as an advisor on a $1 billion port deal. I have personally invested into Nigeria through the IFC in a $20 million financial institutions deal. You'll hear tomorrow about smaller deals, but also larger deals through a company called Afric Invest, which is a growth stage investor. So there is an opportunity for you. We want to help you. So please understand the comprehensive approach that we're trying to take in presenting options. So Mr. Salami, are you back with us?
I'm back with you now. Can you repeat your question?
Sure. So let me ask this last question, then we're going to transition to the next speaker. And by the way, everyone, we will make all the presentations and the recording available. So we ask that you kindly note that. So the question is, if you are an early stage investor, VC, an angel investor, or you have a smaller company, what are the pathways for engaging through the NIPC? Do you have special programs, or would you handle those potential partners yourself, or refer them to other institutions?
So you mean if you are a small enterprises and you want to engage in a small
Yes.
project in Nigeria for the time being, or an NGO?
Right. No, for profit. So for example, if I have a deal that's considered small, could be $250,000 deal, or if I'm a small SME, right? Are there ways for me to work with you and trying to engage with Nigeria?
Okay. To be honest with you, to engage in any dealings with Nigeria directly, a company needs to be formed and be established, incorporated, with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Unless such an investor can identify a partner within Nigeria that can be entrusted, but it will be better for the interest of the investor to be registered as an entity, so that you can do your deal, your business legally without any hindrances. But if it is the choice of an investor to trust, let's say Wilmot, I can trust Wilmot. Let me just ride on the back of Wilmot Nigeria Limited and do my business. So it is the choice, but it will be better to have an entity put in place and do your trading. But normally, any trading company can easily get connected with any local, with a local partner and do the dealings without necessarily registering a company. But that will be based on mutual agreement between such partners. but it is very important for anyone. And again, you know, when it comes to repatriation of profit made, because meaning that if a transaction is going to be made in such a manner without registering Wilmot Nigeria Limited, assuming Wilmot is an American company, what Wilmot Incorporated is an American company. The moment you want to do transaction in Nigeria legally, it is very important for you to register Wilmot Nigeria Limited or partner with a local partner and register properly. Because as you are bringing because if you bring in fund or bring in goods, there's no way Wilmot Incorporated in US will be able to repatriate these profits without legally registering or legal notification with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Great. Thank you, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? Because if you now rest on Abayomi Nigeria Limited to do the business, it means that Abayomi Nigeria Limited will be, the Central Bank of Nigeria will recognize that Abayomi Nigeria Limited was able to import so goods into Nigeria, and that's what will be recognized legally.
Okay, thank you.
The repatriation of the profit made or investment on that will be difficult for Wilmot, because legally, Central Bank of Nigeria will not recognize Wilmot as being the one that even invested in Nigeria or bringing goods into the country.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Salami. We have to move on to our next speaker. There was an additional question about an early stage investor. Just let me address that. There is a tremendous angel investor network in Nigeria and run by Tommy, who is Nigerian. So if anyone wants to learn more about that, co-investing with angels and VC funds in Nigeria or investing in Nigeria, I'm happy to talk to you about that offline. Mr. Salami, thank you for this insightful presentation, and we look forward to staying in touch with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. We're now going to transition to understanding some legal dimensions of doing business in Africa. We're pleased to welcome Sarpong Adami of Kamathi and Partners. Sardang, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Dr. Wilmot.
Great, great to have you. Let's kindly adjust your camera. There you go. I think I can see more of you. Okay, great. So thank you. You have a great presentation. I've seen it just like the NIPC. I'm just going to ask you if you can maybe present it in the next 15 minutes, and then we'll transition because we have two other speakers after you. So maybe 10 to 15 minutes so that we can hear from our other speakers. Did you want me to do the screen share, or will you control the slides?
I'll try to do it from my end.
Okay, while you're preparing, if it's easier for me to do it, just so you don't have to be distracted by that, I'm happy to take that on.
Okay.
Great, so I will do that. Let me just call it up. Let's share the screen now. Okay. If you get it before me, I guess you should do it. Let me just go out. Okay, so I think I'm going to be ready in just a minute on my side. Here we go. Mr. Sarpong, thank you so much again for Kamathi and Partners. You definitely win the award for the most colorful presentation. We like the the stylistic approach that you use on the right there. I'm going to convert this to full screen, and just tell me when I should when I should change the slides as well, just so our viewers can be sure to follow with you closely.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Wilmot. And indeed, it is a great pleasure to be invited to speak.
I'm sorry, Dr. Wilmot, we just see the screen that I see is just green. So
okay, let me just see.
Yeah, so basically, so my name is Sarpong Adami. I'm a senior associate in the law firm Kamathi and Partners, and I work within the Transactions and Strategic Advisory Department. I'm currently the team lead of that department, and it is a great pleasure to be part of what we are doing here.
So, excuse me for 1 minute to make sure everyone's able to see it. Thomas, are we good?
Yes, everything is good.
Thank you, Sarpong. Please continue.
Great. So it was nice to hear about all the great investment opportunities in Nigeria, but I can assure your listeners that Africa investments is all about Ghana, and it is the place to come to if you want to do an investment. And indeed, you can see it in the progressive strides that we are making within in attracting foreign investments into the country. And you realize that in 2018, we recorded about $3.68 billion in investments, out of which about $3.46 billion was as a result of foreign investment in Ghana. Also, according to the recent 2020 budget that has been read by the Minister of Finance, it is estimated that the Ghanaian economy will continue to grow at a rate of about 6.8%, which is very, very positive, despite what happened with COVID-19 and the uncertainties that we've seen in the international market. You realize that Ghana still continues to show a very positive impact, or project a very positive outlook for investors to still come into the country and do their business here. But can you go to the next slide, please? Now, in order to do business in Ghana, it sounds good and all that, but you need to know what you can invest in and what you cannot invest in. And there are some sectors of the Ghanaian economy that has been blocked basically for just locals. And in these aspects of the economy, foreign investors cannot venture into. So you see that, on this slide, I've listed those sectors of the economy that foreign investors cannot go into. Just to mention a few, you realize that you cannot operate a car hire service or a taxi business in Ghana if you are going to operate less than 25 vehicles. And also you cannot operate in a retail pharmaceutical business. So just to mention but a few, but these areas are blocked for just locals, and it is important that when you're making an investment in Ghana, you take note of these things and you do not fall in that pitfall. The next slide, please. Great. Now, if every foreign person can invest in Ghana, apart from those restricted sectors, but in order to invest in Ghana, you need to come through the corporate channel. And it was good to hear from Mr. Abayomi speaking about the Nigerian Investment Promotion Center. We have a similar one of our own here in Ghana. In fact, ours is older than the one in Nigeria, because ours has been in place since 1994, which is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, which is the entity that regulates foreign investments in Ghana. And so every foreigner that wants to invest in Ghana must register firstly with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center before they would be allowed to do business in the country. Now, there are three, the major issue that usually sticks out and where we usually get questions around in investing in Ghana is the issue of minimum capital. We've had a big challenge with this issue because a lot of foreigners have indicated that our minimum capital requirements are very high, and it sort of drives out people who want to create small investments and employment for Ghanaians on the market. But as it stands now, government has indicated that it will look into it. But as it stands now, in order to make an investment in Ghana, you, as a foreign person wholly owned, you need to invest a minimum of $500,000 in cash or capital goods. You have the opportunity to partner with a Ghanaian and give that Ghanaian partner 10% of your business. If that is the path that you want to take, which is usually advisable, you would have to invest an amount of $200,000. For that, the capital amount is reduced. Now, if you want to have a trading business, that means you want to engage in the purchasing and selling of imported goods and services, then you have to invest about $1 million. In fact, invest $1 million in order to be able to do that and employ a minimum of 20 skilled Ghanaians. So that is the criteria, what I would call the gateway, which you have to go through in order to invest in Ghana. Next slide, please. Now, this minimum capital requirement does not apply to portfolio investments, and it doesn't apply to export trading and manufacturing. So if you want to come to Ghana and do manufacturing, do export trading, or do portfolio investment, we're talking about investing on the Ghana Stock Exchange or through a recognizable trading platform, then yes, you can, you would be exempted from the minimum capital requirement. So you see a good investment opportunity on the stock market. You can do that investment through a broker, and you don't necessarily have to invest $200,000 or $500,000 or any of that sort. And if you want to come in and do manufacturing, export trading, you can do that as well without having to show those minimum capital levels. And also, it's important to mention that these minimum capital levels that I just spoke about apply only to the non-regulated sectors. So what it means is that if you are going to invest in a regulated sector like banking, mining, petroleum, insurance, telecoms, those sectors have their own minimum capital levels. And it will be important for you to find that out and conform to them before you come into the market to do the investment. Next slide. Great. So doing an investment in Ghana, there are some, regulatory considerations that you need to do, which is around licensing and investments and registration. Sorry. So you first of all have to register your business with the Registrar General's Department. You need to register for taxes. You need to register with the local authorities. You need to get Social Security registration. You need to register with data protection. Those are standard registrations which you have to do in order to legally operate within. And some of the questions, that you have to ask yourself when you decide or you take a decision to invest in Ghana, we have listed a few of them there. First, you need to ask yourself whether you are allowed to invest in.
Hey, how are you? That looks nice.
Okay. You need to ask yourself whether you are allowed to invest in the specific sector. We just spoke about the restricted sectors. And so you first need to know whether the investment you want to make would fit within an unrestricted sector. And the next thing that you need to ask yourself is whether, the sector in which you are going into is a regulated sector. It's important to find this out so that you know the specific rules that apply within that particular sector. Now, the next thing you need to find out is whether you have to comply with any local content, whether there are any mandatory local content requirements for the sector. The government of Ghana has become very, very sensitive around the issue of local content, and is now, sort of putting in place policies and regulations which would literally force foreign investors to partner with Ghanaians in certain sectors.
GIPC. Just so you know, we will have GIPC presenting tomorrow. So if you want to answer that question now, we can delve into it more deeply tomorrow.
Okay, I can give just some background to that. Yes, it's true. If you register your business with the GIPC, then the fee for registration or for work permit and all that is reduced to $600. However, if you have not registered your business with the GIPC, go straight to the Ghana immigration people, then the fees is much higher. I think about $1,000, $1,500, something around that.
Great. Okay, so and then what about opening up a bank account if you're a foreigner? Issue of foreigners opening up a bank account. We have that question. We already answered the one about granting citizenship to African Americans, Afro-Caribbeans. Yeah, so let's go. And then the second one, I think the last one after that would be the gateway investment requirements, same for countries within the continent and those outside the continent. Why isn't there categories? Why is that the case, I think is what they're asking.
Okay, I'll touch on the issue of opening bank accounts. We haven't figured it all out yet in terms of opening of foreign bank accounts. But currently, the process is that if you are a foreigner and you are doing business in Ghana, you want to open a foreign account, you need to register your business in Ghana first before the banks would allow you to open a bank account in Ghana. To touch on the other issue of gateway, I think the question was, why is the gateway requirement same for countries within the continent? Those, yes, it's an issue, and I think that it's part of what the AFTA is supposed to address. So it brings out a distinction so that those within the continent get some favorable treatment, different from those outside of the continent. For now, it is a general application, but AFTA is supposed to make that a bit flexible for those on the continent.
Great. Mr. Sarpong, thank you so much. We're going to transition now to hearing how to work with government from Mr. Alpha Berry of Sunstone Advisors. Sarpong, please thank Kamathi for me. I know he was very gracious with providing us this insight, and thank you for making your time available. And we look forward to staying in touch with you. And we certainly will pass on the information, contact information for Kamathi and partners, as with all of our speakers. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, great. Alpha, are you with us? Bonjour, Alpha. You're on mute, my friend. You're on mute. Let me unmute you. There you go.
Yes, please. Okay.
Great. So Alpha Berry is the CEO of Sunstone Advisors in Dakar. And so we are going to expeditiously go through your slide that you prepared. Whoops, I just messed it up. And I'm going to share my screen so we can move right into it. So ladies and gentlemen, one of the things we want to get across to you is that there are a plethora of stakeholders you need to consider in working in and doing business in Africa. And one of which I think is probably a more prominent partner than the US is the government. Not only from the regulatory perspective, but governments oftentimes are gateways into the economies. And so it's really important to have a perspective on how you engage the government. So Alpha, I'm going to ask you if you can maybe go through a slide in about 5 minutes, and then let's see if there are questions. Is that okay?
Okay.
Great. So let me just call this up. Thomas, please tell me if you have any issues seeing my screen. Otherwise, we're going to move forward. Alpha Berry of Sunstone Advisors. Are we okay, Thomas?
Yes. Well, we still need the full screen. I'm seeing black around.
Okay, so you should see. I have only. I'm only seeing the full screen. So let me stop it and try it again and see if we get it right this time. Okay, so. Can you all see it now?
Full screen is still showing file, home, insert. You know.
Okay, so that is wrong. So, okay. Now my screen is frozen. So Alpha, while I'm doing this, can you go ahead and just introduce your company so that we can keep the conversation going? By that time, I would have caught up with you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation. So my presentation will be short. It's only one slide. Sunstone is specialized in African government relation and market access. Our services cover both G2G, B2G, and B2B. We are based in Senegal. We have started our operation 3 years ago. Before that, I was the head of marketing of Bank of Africa Group for 10 years. And I left the bank to start this company. Is what best practice for working with the government. it is important for an organization to understand the underlying dynamics, the various ecosystem in place, in order to build a strong trust-based relationship with the stakeholders. And one of the main stakeholders are governments and government entities. That's
sorry,
why we are going to talk about this subject.
Excuse me for a minute. I
Yes?
just want to check with Thomas. Thomas, is the screen clear?
No, it's still black around. You know, this I see, I guess, half of his screen or maybe the whole screen, but it's still surrounded by green
Okay, now,
and black around the whole. Now it's just the screen is completely green.
okay, so there's an issue here because it's completely visible as full screen on my end. So let me just try to get, because it is one slide, but I think it's a very important slide. So let us kind of just press through for 30 more seconds to see if we can make this work. Okay, how about now, Thomas? What do you see?
I see the screen in the middle of the, I see his presentation in the middle of the screen, but around it is, you know, just, you know, the file home insert. Now you just took that off. And now it's black with show taskbar, display. All of those notes are kind of around.
Okay, so I'm not able to do it. So Alpha, let's make this just a narrative from you, because it's one slide. Maybe you can just talk through the highlights of your recommendations and best practices, please. Apologize, guys, for this technical difficulty.
Okay. So on the best practices from our experience, we have three important steps. The first one is the analysis of the government policies. So it is important to know if the policies are in alignment with international best practice. For instance, compliance with World Trade Organization rules, the ease of business, of doing business. For instance, the ranking in the doing business in Africa. The second point is the clarity for a bill. What is the process for a bill to be enforced? Do they do a consultation with the private sector and other economic stakeholders to have feedbacks? And what is also important is the predictability of the policies. So it is not easy if you are in a country where you can have sudden change and no delay before enforcement. It is sometimes still the case. The second point is the analysis of the key people in the government entities. So who are behind the key policies? Are they open to discussion, and are they accessible? If you need more information, if you have issue, if you want data, is it possible to discuss with the people in these entities? For a large company, there is also another option, is the escalation at the ministerial level. If it is not possible to have information with the entities, so to try to escalate and to contact the ministerial at the ministerial level. I understand that it's not easy for all kind of company, and that's why Sunstone help.
You're in Dakar, is that currently? Is that?
We are, yes, we are based in Senegal, in Dakar, yes.
Okay, and you have knowledge and expertise across the region, or do you have a country focus in terms of where you do most of your work, just in case someone wants to get in touch with you? And with we have about 15 minutes left. Terry, if you can give us just a few minutes. I know we're going over a little bit into your time.
You're absolutely fine. Take your time. Make sure they get all the information, and we'll just keep going.
Okay, thank you. So Nisha is joining us from South Africa. And Deborah, if you could maybe be on standby with the presentation just in case I'm having troubles, but I'm going to try to pull it up and see if this works this time. She has extensive experience in logistics based upon her former role. And let's see, it looks like, Deborah, I'm going to need some, well, I got it. Great, let me just make sure. So Thomas, I'm going to lean on you to ask you if I can, if my screen can be seen clearly. Yes? Or anyone? Can anyone see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, great. Let me just blow it up.
It's not a full screen though.
Right, let me blow it up and see if you're still with me. Yes?
It's that black, I see the presentation, the first page, but it's kind of this black.
It just needs to be full screen.
There we go. Okay.
There you go.
All right, great. Okay, great. So Nisha, we're going to turn it over to you to tell us about logistics in South Africa. And just so you know, we will have a deeper dive into South Africa in terms of investment and trade tomorrow. But this is the only presentation on logistics, and because there are commonalities and generalities that relate to logistics, we wanted to take you to one of the premier markets in terms of having world-class logistics services and logistics systems in place, and speak to and hear from Nisha about her role in overseeing that as a former general manager with Transit Freight Rail. Welcome, Nisha.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Thank you. Just a bit of background. Yes, I was with Transit Freight Rail, the largest rail operator for freight in South Africa, as well as with the Ports Authority of South Africa. So from a logistics perspective, I think those are two important government enterprises or state-owned companies that I worked with where I believe we could add value from a South African perspective. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, you are. We hear you well.
Thank you. Next slide, please, Dr. Allen. All right, as my role with the NPA, and as I said, and I'm going through this pretty quick, I know we're pressed for time, is really to say what value could I personally add, although I'm no longer with Transit Freight Rail, but I do still have many of my former colleagues still with the organization. I still assist others with trade. I consult from time to time with Deutsche Bahn, partnered with a local Black company, Tello, so I still assist them. I consult with them on the rail side. And if there's any opportunity for me to assist any businesses who want to trade with South Africa, I'm more than happy to assist. So in my role with the Ports Authority was pretty simple. It was General Manager, Trade Logistics and Corporate Affairs, where I was responsible for all trade on the water side and on the marine side and on the land side of our port system. Thank you. Next slide, please. So if you look at South Africa, standard logistics in South Africa is world-class, and we know, as a developing country, was as for a long time the most developed on the continent. I cannot say that it's still the case today. South Africa has become a home for most of the successful logistics companies in the world, and we have very many of them, and it's easy to do trade with South Africa due to the footprint of many international companies. The South African logistics and transport industry is closely linked to the current state of the economy, as we all know, and with COVID-19, a lot of industries have suffered, unfortunately, but we do believe now that things will ease up since the lockdown phases have been reduced and we can do further trade with most companies. Next slide, please. If we look at our modes of transport for South Africa, like most other countries, we use freight for our long haul freight. We have lots of cargo on road as well. We have a good road infrastructure. And most of our trade is between the largest cities, such as Durban and Cape Town and Johannesburg. We have a lot of heavy haul road transportation that provides logistic solutions to many companies in South Africa. Air cargo, I don't know why I'm stuttering, my apologies. Air cargo as well, And the busiest hub is Johannesburg International Airport, and more than half of South Africa's cargo moves between the two major centers, between Gauteng, Durban, and Cape Town, the three major centers. Next slide, please. With regard to tariffs, which is very important in terms of deciding what mode of transportation to use, as we all know that tariffs are majorly influenced by volume and payload, as well as the type of mode of transportation that is engaged. Interregional trade solutions are offered for both road and rail, and we do a lot of trade with our countries. The two major drivers of cost of South African logistics are the international oil price, which influences us strongly based on the strength of our currency, as well as our interest rates. The international oil price has declined recently and is regaining value, but fortunately our interest rates have reduced, which influences the price of logistics positively. Next slide, please. So if you look at the demand for South Africa's logistics, there's a disproportionate demand based on the economy, but there's a large demand. We have a very large port in Durban, our biggest port, specifically for containerized cargo. The various ports handle different types of cargo. For example, our port in Saldanha handles mainly iron ore and manganese, whereas the port of Durban handles mainly containerized cargo, similarly to the port of Port Elizabeth. So it depends on the type of solution required. The service will be designed to meet the importer or exporter of the cargo planned for transportation. There is a major modal imbalance in South Africa. Most of the cargo is on road due to regulation in South Africa, where cargo is moved off rail onto road, but it is more cost effective to move cargo on rail, as we would know. We do have many challenges like all other countries with regard to infrastructure. Fortunately, there's a lot of investment going to infrastructure of roads and rail pipelines and on our national roads to facilitate trade. Next slide, please. I'm going through this pretty fast because I do know that we're pressed for time. In conclusion, as a developing country, South Africa offers many business opportunities, and it would be interesting to have conversations later with regard to opportunities identified where one could be of assistance. As we all know, South Africa, the majority of our population is still Black and mainly excluded from the mainstream economy. And opportunities like these present opportunity to level the playing field for particularly Black South Africans. Logistics solutions, as I said earlier, can be tailor-made to suit the business objectives. And South Africa has the largest ports. We have 8 ports in our country, and we are extremely busy, and we facilitate trade between our neighboring countries such as Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and Swaziland. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nisha. I have a quick question for you. So when the airways are open now in South Africa, and what's your outlook on sort of the normalcy of trade, the logistics sort of processes and the logistic resources functioning again in South Africa? Because I know among the countries hit hard by COVID, South Africa ranks among the top. And so I'm just curious as to what your outlook is on that.
Yes, we do. We do rate amongst the top countries in terms of transmission of the virus. We're at level 2 of the COVID-19 pandemic, where level 2 is the second last level of stringent measures. We're hoping from September 15, and we hope that our president addresses the nation with regard to opening trade completely. A lot of industries are still not allowed to operate based on COVID-19, where the country is trying to curb the infection rate. So we're hoping that by 15th September, international travel would be hopefully more open. Borders would open. Our borders are still closed. You're only allowed to travel through the borders if you're trading and if you have an emergency. Outside of that, you could not travel. We now can travel interprovincially, which we could not until the 2 weeks ago, last week actually. We could only travel interprovincially. So the South African government is very stringent in terms of people moving and trade happening, unfortunately, it affects the economy negatively.
Gotcha.
And
Thank you so much.
recover.
Great. Thank you so much, Nisha, for your great presentation. Thank you also to the Morrison Group for the referral. We look forward to staying in touch with you, and to our listeners and attendees, we certainly can provide her information. She is very experienced in trade and logistics and has an advisory business that can answer your questions and support your needs. Terry, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Wilmot. Definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate the dynamic speakers that we've had today, and we've had a very diverse group. I mean, we've had Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. I mean, these guys, like you say, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs. You guys just have to get engaged. You have to get on the ground. Like Wilmot said, you know, it's very wise to choose, you know, a local partner. You know, once you get on the ground, strategically pick that partner. Partner with organizations such as ourselves, the Chicago Minority Development Agency's Export Center out of Chicago, VentureLift. You know, we're on the ground already. We're doing business in these markets. We have great strategic relationships all the way from local SMEs on the ground all the way up to, you know, president's offices. So we would definitely be there to help you and help guide you and get you in the right direction and help your product or service get on the ground. We set up B2B meetings. We have trade missions. I know we talked about this over the last few days, but of course we may have new people online today. And I wanted to go into my story, but I know we're running short on time. So that's something that I will definitely share tomorrow. And I will take time in talking about it, letting you know my journey of, like you say, traveling to South Africa in 2000, just working off of chat rooms and brokering a uncut diamond deal between two people that were in the same city already. You know, and then that propelled me into learning more about the continent, learning how to do business on the ground, understanding how to acquire local licensing, understanding how to acquire local partners. And then with education from MBDA and continued education that I'm learning even more with VentureLift of things that, because there's a constant learning process in business. You never know it all. Okay, there's never, you know, just a complete place that everybody has every answer. So it's always great to grow, and it's always great to gain, you know, more strategic partners and alliances and really understand where you're taking it, you know, to help you be successful in this market. So with that being said, you guys can contact us at info@discoverafricanmarkets.com. Again, that's info@discoverafricanmarkets.com. You have